I was gonna buy some and I regret
Rachel's going to talk about that in the mayor's report.
I'll try to.
All right. Hartsville County Board of County now in session. Darwin would like to do a little bit beside this court matter session. Darwin would like to adjourn.
I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. Have our invocation, Mr. Jones.
This is another opportunity, Lord God, to give us for come together here, Lord. We ask you, thank you, Lord, for the safety you give us to get here, Lord. We pray for those, Lord God, that are amongst our midst, amongst our families, are sick, Lord God, are suffering. Those that, Lord God, struggled with us last week. Lord, we thank you that you brought some warmth back to us, Lord, and as things seem to be turning in a different direction. We ask you to be with those that are sick, those that have struggled with the last, with the families and the health for the last few weeks. Lord, we ask you to go with us tonight and make our decisions, Lord, the best interest, Lord God, as we consider all parts of things here tonight, Lord. Be with us and help us, guide us, Lord, to realize our positions and our opportunities, Lord, here that we have. Watch over us, Lord, this day. We thank you, Lord, every Father, for the salvation of our soul. Lord, in the Son's name, we do when we pray. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Baker, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Please, would you call the roll, please?
Here. Ken Bugmaster.
Here.
Jamie Burton.
Here.
Gary Taylor. Boyd Hickey.
Yes.
Bill Ferguson. Jerry Moore. Robert Gregory.
Here.
Landon Belly.
Here.
Mark.
Here.
Yeah. Tracy Jones here. David Lawler.
Here.
Lonnie Taylor.
Here.
Gary Walsh.
Here.
Steve Whitaker.
Here.
Ethan Bowe.
Yeah.
Do know that Mr. Clarity has been in quarantine, why he couldn't be here with us tonight. Mr. Johnson, of course, is still in the hospital. So please try to remember him in your prayers, if you would. I did get an email from Mr. Ferguson. He might be just a few minutes late, but he hoped to be here. And the other, I don't know. Yeah, the minutes of the January 25th, 2021 commission meeting have been distributed. Did anyone see any correction? needed deletions, additions to those minutes? Ms. Wall?
Motion approved.
Have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Do I have a second? Second. I've got 40 seconds. Mr. Gully, we'll let you have this one. This is gonna make the second. All in favor, please say aye. I'm smothering. I got to. Few announcements. Told you about Mr. Johnson and Mr. Flaherty. Also, tomorrow, the Communications Committee is going to meet at 6 o'clock, 6:30 here. And we've got a demonstration of a new sound system and some video equipment that we've set up. So we'd like anyone that can to please be here. If you have an interest in seeing what they're proposing to try to do to this to improve our AV system. That's tomorrow at 6:30. So please try to come. Also, I don't know whether you received the email on it, but the CTAS has put out the Tennessee County tax statistics for last year that list our county and all the counties in the state as far as your tax rates and how they line up with everybody else. That information is online. If you didn't get it, please let me know and I'll be sure that you get that to look at. It's quite interesting to see how we align with other counties as far as our sales tax rate, our property tax rate, all those type of things are in there so that we can have a better idea of how we align with others. Let's see, this Friday, I've got a note, I can't read my own writing. What do we got this Friday? MTC, it says MTC. Oh, I know what it is, I'm sorry. It's a board meeting to go over all of the current legislation that's been proposed by the legislature. I'll be attending that for the county. If anybody has any questions about any of those bills or would like a specific, take a specific stand on them, please let me know. We did the State Education Committee of County Commissioners Association, County Mayors Association did meet last week. We went over all the education bills as the ones that we would monitor or support or strongly support or oppose. And have that information to share with the Education Committee when we meet next. And after this Friday, I should have a little bit better idea of what bills actually have traction right now that are likely to affect us as far as county governments. Anyone have any other announcements? Commissioners, any announcement? Mayor, do you have anything?
Now, as far as announcements, I'll cover it in the mayor's report.
Okay. Okay. Next, we'll move to our agenda. We have a few amendments to the agenda that came in at last minute. Try not to do these unless they're absolutely necessary. We have 3 budget amendments that came from schools. They're all moving money from one category to another. They were looked at by Budget and Finance the last hour and they were approved to the commission, so we will add them to tonight's agenda. I will cover those when we get down to them as far as the numbers of them. Also, under other business, we need to authorize the mayor, and if I speak this wrong, Mayor, you please correct me, to sign a contract with CoreCivic for EMS reimbursements on runs out there. We're not approving the contract. We're giving him the authority to approve it and sign it. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then also the property that was conveyed to the school system, the old building never got transferred back to us, and there's a quit claim deed that's been prepared. We need to give the mayor the authority to sign that quit claim deed. Is that the 2 things?
Yes, sir, and this was approved by the building committee, I
Right.
believe in July. There was some issue trying to find the deed for the property. The only thing we can ascertain is that it burned when the courthouse burned down in 1900 to 1904. And we couldn't find one, and we worked with Mr. Beller, and he put together a quick claim deed. Board of Education went ahead and approved that transfer, and they sent us the signed copy of the quick claim deed this morning, and so we were asking that we can get that approved and go ahead and get that recorded.
One other thing on ordinances, the public hearing and second hearing on ordinance 210-2021-01, the rezoning from R1 to R2 on Andrews Avenue. Mr. Mike Potts is the owner of that property and had made the request for the rezoning. He has told me that he would like to withdraw that request. Mr. Potts, are you still here? Okay. He left, okay, he did tell me he wanted to withdraw that, so we'll take it off the agenda for tonight. With no objection. Okay, that's all the changes. Mr. Harsh,
Move to set the agenda with these amendments stated.
have a motion to set the agenda with the changes. Mr. Ford makes a second. All in favor, please say aye. Any questions? I'm sorry. Do we have a question? We approved it in budget and finance since all the commission was not able to receive those figures. It was agreed to send those figures to the school system so they would have something to work with, and then we can do it at a later date when everyone understands what they're voting on. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yes, sir, I talked to Dr. Satterfield, and if he wants to elaborate, he can, but he said he can wait another month to get those numbers. We're just gonna go ahead and send it to him informally, and then when the board approves it next month, he can go ahead and plug that into his budget and let's get started. But the comptroller's office has asked us not to, since we don't have penny value and everything, the comptroller's office has asked us not to let that hold us back. Let's go ahead and get that transmitted, and then we will update those numbers when we get to penny value and other things. And it'll be a process just like it is every year. Those numbers will change as we go through the process, but comptroller's office has asked us to go ahead and get started on that. And this is complying with a state law that's passed last year and that requires the county legislative body to go ahead and set school revenue, transmit it to them, so they can get their budget set, vote on, and then transmit it back to the county by May 1st.
So I did not add it to the agenda because of that. And that it will come back at a later date. So we'll have more firm figures by then, I'm sure. We do have a motion by Mr. Harsh and a second by Mr. Ford to approve the agenda. Any other discussion or question? Seeing none, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Our agenda is set. Citizen response to the agenda items. I know there's a lot of people that came to speak to this rezoning, but it's not going to happen. Y'all are welcome to stay. You know, it's not going to be on the agenda, but if you would like to sign in to speak at the end of our meeting, we have a place for public comments. We'd be glad for you to stay and speak at that time. But anyone like to sign in to speak to any of the items on the agenda? The rezoning is no longer on the agenda, but we'll let you make comments at the end if you'd like to. Okay? Anyone like to sign in to speak to items on the agenda? I see none. You do want to speak?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. We have one, just one.
Yes, sir.
Let's move into schools report from Dr. Satterfield.
Thank you, Mayor Chambers. Mr. Jewell, one thing I did notice, you was talking about the education bills.
Yeah.
Our state senator, Senator Hale, has introduced Senate Bill 0482.
Yes, sir.
It's about the dual enrollment grant, extending that.
Yes,
And I think it's one of the most important educational bills that's out there. And I know that Senator Hale is sponsoring that bill. It's really important. Superintendents in the area have worked very hard for that. And we would certainly like to use your influence, the mayor's influence in that direction.
at that meeting, that was one of the bills that was discussed, and I made the motion for us to strongly support it. We will be strongly supporting that bill. Just want you to be reassured that I've done so far what I could on it.
Thank you. There's nothing better than students earning college credit while they're still in high school.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of statistics about students who do that. They go to college at a higher percentage and they finish college at a higher percentage. And that's also for 4-year, 2-year and technical schools as well. Before you have our December second quarter financial. I'll try to present this to you in the format that I try to do each quarter. And the first page is our revenues. I've highlighted those in yellow. And I've also wrote in a column in blue ink. And that's for the same time as compared to last year of December of 2019. So if you look at the first line on the revenue code, 40110, current property tax, you can see that we have received to date $1,069,995 compared to the same time last year, which was $997,736 for a difference of $72,000. So we picked up $72,000 in current property tax. It's more than we did at the same time last year. If you move down to the other revenue code, 40210, local option sales tax, you can see the difference there is we've gained $49,000 more than we did at the same time last year. If you look at the basic education program, we've gained $106,000 more, but don't get too carried away with that. That's usually flow through money. It's a program change or increase on something. But the first two revenue are. The last revenue is from the county commission to pay for the middle school roof. And that's 49,100 bonds issued. And that's $1,490,170. But remember, that's kind of like not real money. And that's not revenue we can use. That's flow through money, kind of like BP. You give it to us and we pay it out to the contractor. So what I did is I subtracted that revenue and put that in red. So the real revenue for this time this year is $5,732,671.90. And a difference of $227,000 more than we had at the same time last year, which is a good thing. If you'll move to the bottom of the page and over to the second page, you'll flip that page, you'll see the last line item there I have highlighted in yellow, and that is the expenditures. So you can see that the expenditures are $5,514,700.55 as compared to the same time last year is $5,351,146 for a difference of a plus $163,554. So then I put in pencil there the difference between revenues and expenditures, and we're $381,525 to the good than we were last year. And Mayor, we tried to go back. The question was in the education committee, had we paid the the middle school roof, made a payment on that. And we show that that was made in this report. So that number of 381,525 is a good number for December. We feel good about that number. Questions, comments?
Any questions? Dr. Satterfield? Appreciate your report.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Move on to the mayor's report.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to let the county commission know about several things. Due to this ice storm we received last week, the fire hall did suffer some damage to the gutters on both the front and back of the building. There was actually a little bit additional damage. I was there Saturday morning, looked at it, and I think another section of the gutter come loose from the building after I was already there that morning. What it is the ice on the roof was starting to melt and slide down, and it was catching on the gutters and pushing them away from the building. So there is some damage there to the fire hall. We have already turned that in to the insurance company, and they asked us to get an estimate on it. And Mr. Sally's working to get someone out to give us an estimate on repairing that, and we'll submit that and start that process of getting that taken care of. I received an email probably about 3 o'clock this afternoon from the governor's office. He will be extending his order allowing virtual meetings due to COVID. They didn't say to when that was going to be, when that was going to expire after he extends it this time. And they said that order should be issued sometime in the next few days. We'll know more at that time. They said it would be extended. Senator Haggerty's staff is going to visit Trousdale County on Thursday. And for that, I will turn it over to Ms. Jones. And if she could get one of the microphones so that she could be heard and she can explain more of what's going on with Senator Haggerty's visit.
Senator Haggerty, State Director Jim Henry is coming along with other members from the state staff and on Thursday, the 25th, and we're going to, Mr. Henry is going to speak at the Rotary Club on Thursday. And then after that, we're going to come over here to the courthouse for a meeting with the mayor and with the Sheriff Ray Russell and Director Beatty and the new fire chief, Jay Woodard, discuss issues or concerns and about that. And then after that meeting, we're going to actually go tour the jail and the new fire hall. And I would like to invite everyone to come and for that meeting, if they'd like to come. Thank you. The Rotary starts at 12, is that right? Starts at 12, and then, yeah, about 1:15, 1:30 by the time we get over here.
Thank you.
We've been speaking about the budget process in a couple of committees. Last year, we did it about the second and third week in March. Due to some circumstances that have arisen, also the ice storm from last week, the budget process, as far as having budget hearings right now, we think they may be able to be held sometime around the end of March, maybe early April, due to some delays there. We apologize for that, but some things have come up that weren't anticipated. I also want to recognize the passing of former Hartsville Police Chief Larry Turnbow. I know a lot of people knew Mr. Turnbow. He's very well respected here inside the community. I personally got to know Mr. Turnbow working in the criminal court system. He was a great help to me when I first started, gave me a lot of advice, was very, very helpful. I'm sorry to hear of his passing. He was a very good man, always friendly to me. I know a lot of people got the same experiences with him, and I just want to extend my condolences to his family and friends and let everybody know we're thinking about him. And I really enjoyed my time with Mr. Turnbow, and I'm sorry I won't be able to see him again. As Chairman Jewell stated earlier, Richard Johnson is currently in the hospital. He was released a couple of weeks ago and suffered a fall. Now he's back in the hospital. Also, extend our well wishes to him. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery, and I can't wait to see him back here continuing his 30, 40 years of service on the county commission. So look forward to him coming back. And that is pretty much the county mayor's report for this month. If anybody's got any questions on that or something else you think needs to be addressed, I'll go ahead and answer those at the time.
Any questions of the mayor? Seeing any, we'll move on to committee report. Thank you, Mayor. Steering committee, met Tuesday, February the 2nd, 6 o'clock here at courthouse. The mayor had asking for to request qualifications for a civil engineer for possibly to use for some sidewalk repairs. And we discussed possibility, feasibility of a financial advisor, and talked about that a little bit. We had some discussion on the COVID money, where it's going, where it's coming from. That's why in your packet, you had and the mayor went over to budget finance last hour, what those funds, where they came from, how much they were, how much we've already spent. So you should have all of that information. If you didn't get it, let us know, and we'll be sure and get that to you. That's one thing that we had requested from that committee meeting, and that has been done. We've talked about looking at possible retiring some of the county debt earlier, and we questioned whether to have a special subcommittee on that. We were waiting to get a little bit more information on it, which there again, we did receive in budget and finance. So that was basically what we had in the steering committee meeting. Did I miss anything, anyone? Next would be the education committee. Education committee met on the 4th, and we basically had an update from the school system from Dr. Satterfield and school board member Sullivan on the roof project, where it was, how it was going. I think everything will be completed very shortly, with the exception of the gym roof. The gym roof will be done a little bit later, waiting for some drawings, I believe, on that to be finalized. We did go over a few of the state education bills that pertain to education, and we didn't have the school's budget amendments at that time, but they, like I say, they were approved by budget and finance, and they will be presented at a later time. That was pretty much the discussion with education, really waiting to see what the bills come out of the legislature look like. There are some really good ones that will help us and help our schools a great deal. Dr. Satterfield did give us some information on learning loss and the emphasis from the state on that and how we're going to be addressing that. He also went over his report that he just went over with you in that committee meeting as well. Did I miss anything? Okay. Next, emergency services.
On January 9th, we had a meeting here at the courthouse, and Chief Jay Ward got up and talked about the training that they've been going over and looking about in the future, and going over everybody's files to see what everybody needs and all this. And then Assistant Chief Buckmeister got up and talked to us about getting a brush truck for the county. We don't have one. One we got overheats, and it's just kind of wore out. These are new things, so we're looking at getting a new one. It'll be somewhere around maybe top price $140,000, low price maybe $124,000, somewhere in that between that. At this time, we're going to meet again on March the 9th, and they maybe have more exact on the price of it. The EMS maybe got up and talked to us, and one other thing, they bought some new equipment, new air packs and stuff, and so they were working to get everybody a new mask, for everybody have their own mask, and they got some new bottles, so that's moving forward with that. So get a little money for that. And Mr. Brady come along, he talked to us about getting new animals. And, he's looking at, about $190,000 to $200,000 job. It's gonna be a little bit bigger than what we got now. And so we're gonna, maybe got to rearrange some equipment inside the building, or maybe to extend the building some to put cold blade here. Or they're trying to build a new vehicle or a new building something later in life. But right now, that's what we're looking at. They can come back with some more definite price and which vehicle he wants. Later, over Dodge, whatever. He's gonna be back overnight.
The March 9th, committee, what time is it scheduled for?
6 o'clock.
Is there any way you can make it 6? So I can be there.
We'll,
Be a little late.
we'll change it, but they haven't come out yet, so.
Okay.
Been 6:30.
Thank you.
That it, Mr. Long?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, Parks and Rec met on February 11th. Mr. Baker?
Yes, Rick met on February the 11th, had a pretty lengthy meeting, more or less discussing the pool. The committee more or less made a motion to go ahead and open the pools beginning May the 22nd. And a closing date, more or less, plan it by year right now. We discussed, I read the limitations that was the governor and his deal regarding the pools. Mr. Slee believes that the only limits would be regarding the kiddie pool. He said he would he'd have to keep lots of cleaning supplies on hand and possibly hire additional employees just for cleaning and screening. He said he's got several people been asking for applications for lifeguards and, to do the work down there. Said that the diving board would have to be refurbished and ready instead of paying for a new diving board. More or less moved to keep the fees as the same as the 2019, 2020 year. So we can hoping we can get the park open if everything keeps going good, but the government could come in and shut us down, before it gets open, but we hoping it can get open. Then we had individuals had a bad experience in the park with his grandchildren. He had offered to get some video lines and adding a monitor to the sheriff's office, and we monitor the areas free of charge for the county. Cliff was going to speak to the sheriff on this. This guy was going to donate his time and do that, but I don't know. Did Cliff ever meet you, the sheriff? The sheriff still here?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Okay. Then we also discussed the Little League field lighting. The committee, the mayor of the commission got a request for bids and to reach out for companies regarding LED lighting and pools at all the 4 fields at the ball fields. Talked about the local parks and recreation grant. We're still waiting for a response. Mayor said he should know something by the end of the month. Then we had a group come in, the Disc Disciples. They're a Christian organization, trying to disc golf at the park. We discussed it at length and more or less made a motion for the mayor and Cliff to get with the group to work together to bring back something in a form of writing with a cost to install, whatever it's at. But I think the committee more or less thought it would be a good idea for the county. And it's something that sounded like something everyone could do, and there was a big interest in it now. And that's about it.
I believe there was somebody speeding inside the park while they were there, and he felt that was a little bit dangerous, and so that's why he's offered to come in and help with some of the cameras and feedback over to the sheriff's department. So I believe that's what it was. If not, I'll speak to Mr. Salee and correct myself if I'm wrong on that, but I believe that's what it was.
And I would like to add our next meeting is scheduled for March the 18th at 6:30 here at the courthouse.
Communications Committee was scheduled to meet February 16th because of the ice storm. We changed it till tomorrow night, the 23rd. Like we previously announced, please try to come so that you can see what we're talking about doing as far as the improvements to the sound and video, those type of systems here. If you have a chance, that will be tomorrow night,
Just 6 o'clock.
6:30.
6:30.
There's a meeting, I think, water board will be tomorrow night. Give the mayor, Mr. Shields, out to you.
Will that be
Since it was not advertised, I would say no.
It'll be streamed via Facebook. You can watch it there, but we didn't advertise with a Zoom link, so nobody can participate online. You'll have to be in person to participate. And I meant to mention in my mayor's report, and I didn't. If it's all right with Chairman, I'll go ahead and mention it now. With the governor extending his order, I would recommend to all committees, go ahead and set up a Zoom link, because that would give us the option to do virtual if it comes up in the future, given how they expect March, the more contagious strain of COVID to overtake what we had before, and it may increase our COVID numbers. You may have more people want to stay home and not attend in person. So I would just ask, when you schedule a meeting, let's go ahead and get a Zoom set up for that, so we're prepared in case you want to go ahead and have virtual participation.
It's good to have that option if we need to, or we have several people that can only come that way. Glad that we do have that option. We just need to try to remember to avail ourselves of it.
Certainly, you know,
If on the agenda, we will have to have a motion to conduct that meeting virtually on that meeting's minutes. But we have to give notice in advance that we're going to do that. So it's kind of the cart before the horse, but you know, we can advertise it if we are, then certainly, of course, we would, but we still have to go through the motion that we're going to do it that way, that night in that meeting.
Just whenever we advertise it in the newspaper, we include a Zoom link so people can go through it that way. And then we also put it on the county's website and try to do it on Facebook as well. So just like tonight, when we did budget and finance in this one, I went ahead and put, when the industrial development board's coming up on Thursday, I went ahead and put the Zoom link so people can watch it that way. They won't be able to participate because it wasn't advertised, but they can watch it that way. And also, I use Zoom to stream to Facebook because the controls through Zoom are much better than the ones through Facebook, and it lets you see if there's a technical issue, and it also shows you how your microphones are picking up. So I use Zoom for that always. This right now is currently through Zoom, but I didn't provide a link because we didn't have it advertised ahead of time.
Thank you. Budget and Finance met tonight at 6 o'clock. Of course, it was rescheduled from February 16th. We went over the budget amendments that are before you tonight. We have 2 in the 101 fund and 3 in the school fund. They're all moving money from one place to the other. We talked about the school budget amendment for the funding. Thought we need to vote on it, but we're just going to go ahead and send that on over to the schools, and we can, so we have time to tweak it, but they have some figures to work with to start their budget process. The mayor went over the CARES Act and the various funding from LGSF, the local government support funding, CARES Act money, where it came from, how much it was, what we've already committed to. And that was about all that we had in budget finance. We have these 3 budget amendments before you tonight. Were there any other committees that met, any other committee reports?
ethics committee.
Uh-huh.
Mainly on organization, I had COVID back in November. That time. But ethics mainly on, as I said, organizational piece. Mr. Bell was kind enough to be willing to attend that and go over quite a few great instructional pieces for that community and where these pieces are. He gave a really good teaching piece, I guess is what we call it. That's a really good opportunity to hear and see. He does some research on what that community was and how it gave each member. I believe he's always sent out an email. I remember reading something last week, but I'm pretty sure there was an email sent out to all committee members where that, all the bounds and pieces and good literature to read through, to understand, so we appreciate you doing that.
Does any of the committee chairs have a meeting that you'd like to announce a date, time of meeting? Any other reports?
I just wanted to ask this communication meeting coming up tomorrow. I have the manufacturer's rep coming as well as the sales rep and the installation. The guy that runs the installation company that does this stuff. They're bringing the equipment to do a demonstration. They would have done it, prior and had it here for this meeting. We had that so nice. But they will all be here to answer questions about the system. It's turnkey about this. And so if you can be here, or at least attend. But the gentleman from the manufacturer's reps flying from Michigan tomorrow, and then the other two guys are driving off me. Brings the demonstration.
A lot of efforts went into, from their part, to be here and us trying to put this together so that, you know what we're talking about exactly, can see it, can ask questions of people that not only are selling the equipment, but actually will be installing the equipment.
And the manufacturers, it's all right.
So, all right, any other committee reports? Ms. Johnson? Yes. If nothing else, we'll move into our active business. We have no appointments or appointments for tonight. We have one resolution for you, 2021-06-710. This is to add to the county maintained road list, Tulip Court, which is down off Highway 231. It's a short cul-de-sac. It has met all the requirements of the road, and we need to accept it to be a county maintained road. Mr. Nolan. Have a motion by Mr. Nolan, second by Mr. Forrest to approve this. Any questions about this? All in favor of resolution 2021-06-710 to report, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It does carry. The ordinance on the public hearing and second reading of the rezoning was pulled from the agenda. I had one person sign in to speak to it. I'll let him speak to it at the end under public comment. Budget amendments, the one in your packet was the 101 general fund. Let me get to them, I'll read it to you. First one was BA 101-20. This is a request. This is coming out of the 101 County General Fund. It's debiting from the CARES Act funding for courtroom security communication equipment. This is not the entire funding. This is just using a part of it. This is an approved use. This is at the request of the court system. Is that correct, Mayor? Do I need to tell them any more than that?
This was a request from Judge Kane, who is the chief judge for our district, to put communications equipment in the courthouse, or as the Justice Center, so we can do video arraignments and other appearances virtually instead of bringing them over from the Trousdale Turner or from the jail and potentially spreading COVID inside the jail or outside the jail. So, and this was use of some funds that we got. It was CARES Act money that flowed through the state through their TM-CAM system. And so this is a COVID expense. It's a request from the courts. And so we put it forward, and I don't know if the sheriff wants to speak on it, but that's basically what it is. And it's just to give that arraignment system there in the court.
Any other questions on it? What's the will of the body? Motion by Mr. Harsh. Motion to approve by Mr. Harsh, and second by Mr. Ford. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This does not require a roll call vote. This is just simply moving money around. Next is BA 101-21. This is a request to amend the 101 County General Budget, debiting governmental grants, a technology grant we got from the state, from the Secretary of State, the 50-50 match, so that the library can use these funds to buy 4 new computers and monitors. It's in the amount of $1,804. Any questions on this one? Mr. Ford makes a motion to approve it. Ms. Johnson has a second. Any discussion, any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Okay. We have 3 budget amendments that came over from the school board late, since they're all moving funds around and then have to do with getting some people paid. We'd like to add them. We thought we should add them tonight, since they did go through budget finance and they did approve all of them. First one is BA 2021. We can do all these together unless somebody wants to pull one out. BA 2021-141-14 is $2,400. This is moving from the regular instruction program into an account for a bonus payment. BA 2021-141-15, $28,675. It's moving it from the 141-71-200 special education program to a supervisor salary. They had some changes in positions. They need to move this money because they weren't filled in one way, they were filled in another. BA 2021-141-16. This is the big one, $151,462. There again, moving it from their 141-7100 regular instruction to the strategic compensation plan. They can't allocate these monies till they know exactly what teacher's going to be hired at what positions. So that's why we have to do this later. It's put in their budget as far as the dollars, but to actually allocate it, we wait till we know exactly what their payroll and the classifications of the various teachers and positions are going to be. Any questions on any of these? Mr. Walsh. Have a motion by Mr. Walsh to approve all 3. Mr. Whitaker gets the second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is done. Okay. Let's see, that takes care of our budget amendments. We had notaries. We had 4 notaries that came in. Amy Thomas with HTC Government, Dustin Dillahay with Citizens Bank, Caitlin Johnston with CoreCivic, Mr. Carol Carmen with Carmen Survey. Were there any others, Rita? That's the 4. Will of the bottom. Ms. Jones makes a motion to approve. Mr. Walsh gets a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. It is done. Under several items, under other business, a couple items that we need to do. Mayor, would you like to explain what this EMS contract with CoreCivic and what that is, please?
Yes, sir. CoreCivic has taken over their medical billing. So to pay us or to keep the rate we were getting, we were going to enter into a contract with them. The rates were negotiated by Chief Beatty to keep us at the level we were currently getting. If we don't have this contract, there's a possibility that they could try to pay us at the Medicare rate, which is lower than what we're getting now. So to make sure we keep getting our revenue stream that we currently are, we need to enter into this agreement. And we hoped they would have got it to us in January. That didn't happen. However, we do have it now. Like I said, to make sure we continue that revenue stream at the level we're currently getting it, we need to have the commission authorize me to sign this contract.
Mr. Hart. Are we approving the agreement or giving you authority to sign this?
You're giving me the authority because under the charter, it says the mayor signs all contracts and obligations.
Okay. So the motion is to give the mayor authority to sign this contract on behalf of the county.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Ford makes that as a second. Do you have any questions? Okay,
I was just waiting for a second.
I'll get you one. Hard for me to see through these glasses that far.
Right.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to enter into this contract. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is done. Okay, next was the quitclaim deed that's been prepared on the property. You want to explain that a little?
Yes, sir. There was an agreement between the county and the schools. The county transferred some property, I think was gotten by delinquent taxes to the school system. They used that for the side of the new school bus garage. And the school was to transfer the Ag Extension Election Commission building to the county. That transfer never happened. The county building committee did vote to accept that transfer back in July. It took us a little while to get that done because we tried to find the deed that gave the property to the school board. We think it probably burned up in 1900, between 1900 and 1904, when the courthouse was burned up, and they were never re-recorded. That has been a theme with several properties that has the county listed as the owner, that we've found that when they burn up, they never re-recorded them. So Mr. Miller worked to put together a quitclaim deed. It went to the Board of Education. They did approve the quitclaim. They went ahead and signed it this morning. We asked that it be added to the agenda so we could get this approved. That's pretty much the nuts and bolts of it. I got to answer any questions if anybody has any.
We've had discussions about this in times past, just something that overlooked and fell through the cracks, just trying to remedy what's been done. Any questions? Any motions? Mr. Burton. I have a motion by Mr. Burton to approve and a second by Mr. Hart. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Really appreciate y'all being on top of this and getting this taken care of. We come in our agenda to the time for public comment. David has signed in to speak to the rezoning resolution on behalf of the Planning Commission. I think he still wants to say a few words about that. So, Mr. Thomas.
Most of you know me. Those who don't, my name is David Thomas. I've been serving on the Planning Commission now. This is my 4th year. Wanted to take this opportunity of this rezoning coming up, and kind of the way it came from planning onto the first reading, kind of went through what was that? The committee to the one that you were chairman of, Mr. Jewell, steering committee, and the conversations that were had. That particular property, it seems like there was a lot of confusion as it left out of planning with a negative. And then as it came to this body for the first reading, and then, possibly to getting talked back of getting kicked back to planning. We really haven't had this kind of confusion on different rezonings in the past. So I was wanting to offer to the commission anything that planning might possibly do to help you guys with any confusion, because if you'll watch our meeting, it was very concise. I know there was some information that was given to the commission after planning had denied it. That information really had it really didn't have any bearing on our decision to deny it. The reason we denied it an R1 in that area going to an R2 was because, one, it would be considered a spot zoning and would possibly set us up for a lawsuit. 2, we don't want to have an overpopulated downtown area. We really have to pay attention. I believe Mr. Potts brought up the conversation of, well, if it was out in the county, he would be able to do it. But if it's in the county, he has to have rezonings and whatnot. There's reasons why there's different zonings for the urban area versus the county. And I know some of you are aware of this information. Some of you are new and really haven't delved into a lot of this. We take a lot of pride and a lot of time going through this in Planning Commission, so that when we send a recommendation to this commission, that you guys know that it's already been discussed, it has been talked through, and unless there is some outside public, knowledge that comes forward or discussion legally and to the zoning and to the set kind of consistencies that the Planning Commission has acted on, that's where we stand. There isn't really since, what, Mayor, back in the 80s, the last actual plan for growth in Trousdale County.
I believe it was mid-90s, it's 25 years old. I think.
Beyond that, there isn't really a plan anymore for growth. So really, Planning Commission only has what zoning and what regulations are in place. So we have to take each one step by step. And so we have a lot of discussion and a lot of conversation over that. And like I said, if there's anything that we can do in planning to cut down on some of the confusion as it moves from one committee to another, please let us know so that we can do whatever we can to help you guys with that.
Thank you, David. I know one thing that came out of this, and we've had conversations with the mayor and with Chairman Kerr, that when you send us a recommendation, either for or particularly against, why? We need just a brief statement. This was turned down because we considered it spot zoning. We turned this down because it was too much growth in this area, so that we have something other than just a no. And I think if we do that going forward, that will be able to help us. The point that I had made was the way it was presented and what was presented to planning. My understanding was different than what we received from Mr. Potts later. And I never said that it would change it. I just said that it might have made a difference. Do we want to send it back? But I'm glad that it's disposed of. I think we have a better handle now a little bit, that just because we received something, we need to look at it a little bit more thoroughly, and y'all need to maybe give us more of a reason, a stated reason. And I know Sam has said, well, you can go back and look at the minutes, you can go back and look at the tape, but I think it's better for us just to receive it with just a brief comment on there as to the why. And I think that will help going forward more than anything we can do.
I believe we did discuss that in our last planning meeting, and I believe we all as a commission decided that would be it wasn't needed in the past, but for whatever reasons, it is needed now. And so I believe we are going to start doing that. I'll have to confirm that with Mr. Kerr as the chairman and see if that's what we're going to start doing, as far as the secretary kind of doing that as she turns in the minutes, and kind of have that to go along to kind of accompany anything that we send towards the commission. Like I said, anything that we can do, please let us know. Our position is not to work against the commission or work for the commission. It's strictly to rezone and to take care of the things that come before our commission, and to do that with the least amount of legal ramifications to the county.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Appreciate your comment. Do we have anyone else from the public that would like to make a comment on anything? No, we had several people, but they left. Anyone? Seeing none, Mr. Walsh.
Motion adjourned.
I have a motion by Mr. Walsh to adjourn, second by Ms. Jones. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Stay around, please. We are adjourned.
So